Hi, my name is Rick Bloodworth. This is a Common Sense Christian channel, and it's Friday, so we're going to talk about finances today, and we're specifically going to be talking about how to get out of credit card debt. We're going to be looking at a couple of methods today, one of which you may be very familiar with. It's Dave Ramsey's snowball method, but we're going to be looking at another method that you may not be as familiar with that may actually work better for you and cost you a little bit less money or even a significant amount of money less in the long run if you do it correctly. And so we want to be looking at this. Well, why look at it in the first place? And the answer obviously is this: you probably wouldn't be tuning in today if you didn't have credit card debt, and very likely credit card debt that's significant enough to be starting to make you feel a little uncomfortable at the least, and possibly even drowning in debt at the worst. And so we want to look at some very practical ways that we can get out of credit card debt. According to Wallet Hub, the average household has about $10,263 in revolving credit card debt. Revolving is a specific term that refers to the amount of debt that you carry from month to month. A lot of people will put things on their credit card that they pay off the entire balance each month, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about this balance that you cannot pay off, or at least that you have not paid off, and so you're accruing interest every month. Well, according to Forbes magazine, the most recent figures I could find, the average interest rate for a credit card in America today is now 27.92%. Now that's an incredible amount. That's a record high amount, and that is so high that it will keep you, if you continue to get a credit card balance that's a little higher each month, it's going to keep you essentially a debt slave. And today we want to talk about how to get from being a debt slave to being a master of your money. Now, when I say that, I don't mean a master of your life. God is the master of your life, but He's also very specific. Jesus said it was impossible to serve two masters, that you could not serve both God and money. Well, if you're a slave to debt, then you've got two masters, and it's going to be very hard to give God His consideration when so much of your thoughts and so much of your time and so much of your worry is tied up in how you're going to get out of debt. And so again, we want to talk about how to get from this point of being a debt slave to being a master of your money, to where you don't have to worry about that. I looked at the most recent figures from the New York Federal Reserve, and this is what they have concerning debt. For households that have any kind of debt, their average total debt is about $168,000. Now that debt will be comprised of different things, but if you've got some kind of debt in America, the average household that does owes about $168,000. Amongst this is about $222,500 for those who have mortgages. Well, you might be saying, well, that's more than the total household debt, but not every household that has debt has mortgage debt. If you do have a mortgage, then you're probably going to have much higher than the average household that has debt. But the average mortgage, about $222,500. For those who have auto loans, their average balance is going to be $35,000 plus. For those who have student loans, and that's going to obviously include both the husband and the wife if there's more in your household, the average student loan balance for households that have student loans is a little over $55,000. But the worst kind of debt of all of this is going to be the credit card debt. And the New York Federal Reserve survey shows that for those houses that have credit card debt, that they owe on average $20,221. Now that also includes those who pay off their credit card balance each month. So that skews the figure up to a certain degree, but it also gives you a little bit more accurate idea of what the average household that has credit card debt owes on their credit card. Now, there's a lot of reasons for people not having any credit card debt. Some people are just very prudent, and they are determined that they will never have credit card debt. There are others that are so wealthy that they pay off everything every month. They don't need credit cards. But then there are some who are so poor or who just are not banked, as they say, who cannot get credit cards. And so those households don't have them either. And so the average household that has credit card debt, a little over $20,000. Well, the example that I want to use for today is a household that has $10,000 in credit card debt. Now, if you have more, you can adjust it to whatever you have. If you have less, you can also adjust it to that. But let's just start off with a credit card balance, and that even if you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 credit cards, your total outstanding balances are $10,000, and we'll use an average interest rate of 24%. Well, that's a little bit lower than the 27.92% that's average, but this will make the calculations more simple, and also some people have lower balances. And so we're going to be using, to start with, for this example, a $10,000 balance, 24% interest rate. So how do you go about paying it? Well, if you have a $10,000 balance and a 24% interest rate, if you just pay the interest, that's going to cost you $200 each month. And you can pay that $200 each month until eternity, and you're still going to have that $10,000 balance. Matter of fact, you're probably going to have more because you're going to have emergencies that you have to run up other credit card debt on. But again, if you've got a $10,000 balance and all you're doing is paying the interest, you will never get out of debt, and the interest will just keep on month after month, where you're paying $200 a month and you're not getting anything for it. You've already had the fun that you experienced when you were buying the things on that credit card. Now you're just paying for the interest, not paying for the things you bought, but paying for the interest of the privilege of buying them before you could really afford them. So this method that I want to talk to you really focus on today is going to be talking about balance transfers, and these are dangerous. If you listen to Dave Ramsey, he will point out how dangerous they are. But I want to make sure that we understand the rules for doing a balance transfer as far as this particular method, because if you don't follow the rules on any particular method, then the method won't work, and that's true with this method as well. But balance transfer is not even going to be available for some people. Their credit is so messed up that even if they applied for a balance transfer, they couldn't do it. And they're going to have to go to another method of paying their debt down if that's the case. But if your credit is still good enough to where you can do a balance transfer, then shop around and look. Very likely you're going to find somebody that will transfer all of the balances of your credit cards onto their credit card. They're going to charge you a fee of anywhere from 3% to 5% to do that, typically closer to the 5%, but after that you've got anywhere from 10 months to 18 months of a 0% interest rate. And this balance transfer will only work if you're doing it to an account that gives you a 0% interest rate for this introductory period. And so it's going to be very important to be checking this out thoroughly. But we're going to be using, for our purposes of example today, making a balance transfer of $10,000, your entire credit card portfolio, if you will, and you're going to be paying 5% of that $10,000 as the fee. In other words, $500. 5% of $10,000 is $500. And so you're going to be starting off with a balance of $10,500 after your credit card balance transfer fee, whereas opposed to the fact that if you did not transfer it, your balance would just be $10,000. And so at first that may not seem like that good of an idea, but now look what you have. Once you've transferred your balance and once you have gotten your credit card debt to the point where you are absolutely committed never to put anything on any of your other credit cards unless you can pay it off. And you're not going to put anything on this one that you transferred the balance to, because they'll start charging you interest on that if you do. So this balance transfer card, you're going to just be paying down for a year. And you can take the same $200 a month minimum payment if you want to, that you're going to be spending on interest. And after 12 months, you're going to pay down $2,400, and that's going to leave you a balance of $8,100. But At the end of that introductory period, they are now going to raise your interest rate probably to 27.92%. So you're going to have to roll it over again. It's not going to be as difficult probably this time, because now you've got another credit card or two or three that you don't carry a balance on. And so what you can do is you can transfer this one that's about to start charging interest onto another introductory rate balance transfer. People do this all the time. My wife and I have been doing this for some 35 years, and it's something that is very possible. You just have to be very disciplined to keep up with it. So, here's how it works. You've got $10,000 in credit card. You transfer it to another credit card with 0% interest for 12 months. Now, you owe $10,500, but you're going to pay $200 a month. So for 12 months, you pay $200 a month, and that all goes to paying down that credit card. And at the end of that 12 months, you now have a balance of $8,100, which you are going to transfer to another card that has 0% interest. And they're going to charge you about 5% to do that, and so you're going to have to pay $400. So you started off with $10,500, you paid down $2,400, that gives you a balance of $8,100, and then you're going to transfer it with a 5% fee. That's going to be $400 now. And so at the end of the first year, you're going to owe $8,500 on this credit card, the balance of which you are now transferring every year so that you can pay a one-time fee and then have 0% interest for the rest of the year. Now, look at the credit card that you're just paying the interest on. You started off with $10,000 and you ended up with a $10,000 balance, and you're still paying $200 a month. Well, you do this now for the second year. You've got your $8,500, you pay down another $2,400, so now you've got a balance of $6,100, and you do another balance transfer when that 0% interest is about to expire. That's going to cost you 5% of $6,000, so that's going to be $300. And so at the end of the second year, you're going to have a balance of $6,400. And you're just going to keep on repeating that. At the end of the third year, you're going to have a balance of $4,200 after you've made your payments and transferred the balance. After 4 years, you're going to have a balance of $1,900 after you've made your payments and transferred the balance. And then the fifth year, you're actually going to pay off that credit card in total in about 9.5 months. And so what you're going to have on this method, if you transfer the balance and you're faithful to make sure you never run up any type of credit card debt again after that, in about 58 months, 57.5 months, you are going to pay off your initial $10,000 balance. You're going to pay $1,500 in interest, and you are going to be credit card debt-free. And since you've gone through all this trouble for 5 years, you're going to be credit card debt-free for the rest of your life. And so this is going to be something that I believe you're going to find to not only work, but you're going to find it to be very freeing. I also want to, again, make this point. Not everybody's going to qualify for a balance transfer at 0%. And if you cannot, don't do it. It does no good to transfer a balance of a credit card to another credit card that's just going to be charging you interest, because you're going to be paying the fee and the interest on top of it, and you'll never get out of that debt hole. Now here is the second method. This is the Dave Ramsey method. This is the debt snowball method, where you just start paying off your credit cards. You start with the one that has the lowest balance, and you attack it with every extra dollar you have. Let's just say, because of the way your budget is set, that you can only afford an extra $100 a month over the $200 a month you've been paying. Well, that may not seem like much, but it's something, isn't it? And so if you start doing that with this $10,000 initial payment, and you pay $300 a month instead of $200, at the end of the first year, you're going to have paid off $1,300. Even though it's cost you $3,600 to do so, at least $1,300 of it did not go to interest. About $2,300 of it's going to interest now. Well, at the end of the second year, as you continue this $300 a month, you're going to actually pay down about $2,000 off of your credit card balance. It's going to cost you $3,600 to do that, so you're still going to have about $1,600 in interest. But remember, if you don't start making extra payments, you're going to have $2,400 in interest. So now you're saving about $800 a year in interest using this Dave Ramsey type of a method. This is a hybrid. Go to his website, get the book Financial Peace, and he will explain to you what I believe to be an absolutely excellent method of doing so. And you'll have something in a book form where you can go back and consult it. Anyway, at the end of 2 years of paying $300 a month, you've got a balance of $6,700. At the end of 3 years, a balance of $4,300. At the end of 4 years, a balance of $1,700. And now, about maybe midway through your 5th year, you're going to pay this credit card off. And it's going to have cost you $6,000 in interest, but now you've also paid off your principal of $10,000. Now you have no credit card debt. And because you were so faithful in doing this, and because it was so difficult to do it, it's very unlikely that you're going to be going back into credit card debt ever again, barring a true and real emergency. Well, now let's look at this $300 payment with the balance transfer way that we were doing earlier. It's the same thing. You transfer your $10,000 in credit card debt on this balance transfer with 0% interest a month, and you're starting out again with $10,500 total debt. But now instead of paying $200 a month, you're paying $300 a month. And so after paying $3,600 a month, you're going to be down to a balance of about $6,900 at the end of the first year. Well, you're going to roll that over again. You're going to do a balance transfer. It's going to cost you 5%, or about $350. So $6,900 plus $350 is going to be $7,250 that you're going to have as your balance at the end of the first year. You continue to make the $300 payment. At the end of the second year, your balance is now down to $3,850. At the end of the third year, your balance is down to $250, which you're just going to make on your next payment if you haven't already. And so under this method, the balance transfer method, with adding $100 to your minimum payment, you're actually going to end up paying this off in 37 months instead of 58. And you're going to be paying a total interest of about $1,050 instead of $1,500. Or if you want to compare the $300 payments, the Dave Ramsey snowball method, which, to be very fair, he's telling you to put every extra dollar into it. But if you put every extra dollar into this, you'll still end up with less interest. With this method, you're going to be paying about $6,000 interest. This one about $1,050. So there's a pretty significant difference between getting balance transfers with 0% interest and being very disciplined and faithful to keep up with everything so that this is the actual payments that you're going to be making. But again, within 37 months or even within 53 months, with just making $100 a month extra in payment, you're going to be paying off all of your debt. You're going to be debt-free as far as the credit card. And now you can start concentrating on other things, such as car payments, such as student loans. And then you can even start working on your mortgage and start paying it off. But this is the key. This is the linchpin, I believe, to turning your life around from being a debt slave in order to become somebody who is a master of their own finances. Again, with the understanding that when we talk about being a master of our finances, we're talking about it in the context of being a steward of God. In Proverbs, it says that the borrower is slave to the lender. And when you think about that, when you think about the situation that we all from time to time likely get ourselves into, where we're just way in over our head in debt and we feel like there's no way to get out, we really find out that this proverb the debtor is slave to the lender is true, because now we're working just to pay him the interest for the things that we just couldn't do without or thought we couldn't do without. You remember those things, that set of furniture, the new set of golf clubs, the dishes that you just had to have, the steak dinners that you had to treat yourself to, or whatever it was, the new wardrobe, all these things that now are consumed and likely gone, but the interest rate payment stays on until you do something about it. If you have credit card debt, my encouragement to you is to look very seriously at where you are at and then decide the best method for you to approach paying off the debt. For you, the best method may be the Dave Ramsey method of this snowball method. And again, if you do that, you're going to be paying far less than $6,000 in total interest, because that snowball method will give you some incentive to pay it off earlier. But so too will this method. If you're able to do balance transfers, and if you and your spouse are on the same page, you both are agreed to this commitment that you will never have a balance on another credit card that is not paid off each month, and you will never put anything upon this credit card that has the 0% interest rate for your balance transfer, you're going to do pretty well. And you're going to find that feeling that people get when they are finally free of debt. I love Dave Ramsey's seminars. There are ones that you can look at online. I'd encourage you to do that, where he will be speaking to a large crowd, and he'll just say, I want you to make the sound that you will make once your debt is paid off. And the roar of the crowd just about brings the roof down every single time. Just the thought of being out of debt brings such a feeling of exhilaration and joy to your life that this is going to give you, I believe, the impetus that you need to start getting out of debt. The main factor I believe that you're going to have, though, if you're a Christian, and since this is the Common Sense Christian channel, most of you probably are, you wouldn't be looking at this in the first place, but the main motivating factor for all of us should be our love for God and our desire to be the very best stewards that we can be for Him. And if we'll do that, then we're going to be prayerfully entering into this attempt to have a solution for the financial difficulty that we're at. And we're going to be doing that if we're married with our spouses, so that we're doing it together. It will not work if only one of the spouses is doing it. Don't even try. My suggestion to you is just get ready for the bankruptcy that's sure to come. But if both spouses are on board to this idea of starting to tackle their debt, starting with their credit card debt, and you're doing so because of your commitment to the Lord, I think you're going to find that the Lord is going to bless you so richly as you attempt to do this, that it's not going to take you 60 months plus, or 58 months, or even 37 months, but He's going to help you get out quicker than that, because you're now doing it as part of your stewardship to Him. And that really is the focal point, should be the focal point of all of our lives. Well, I hope this helps. If you have any comments, please put them in the comment section. If you want to disagree, that's fine. I don't have every answer to everything, but I can tell you I've got 42 years experience struggling with debt and getting out of credit card debt completely. And I do know that these methods will work if you can stick faithfully to them. Well, that's all I have for today. I really appreciate your tuning in. If this helps you, do me a favor and hit the like button. Subscribe to it if you think this will help you. Every Friday we talk about financial things. The other days of the week we talk about matters more spiritual. But I believe that our finances are one of the keys to our having a proper spiritual relationship with our Father. And so if you're interested in this type of thing, please subscribe and share it with others that you think this might help as well. But until next time, I truly appreciate your tuning in, and I pray that God will richly bless your efforts as you seek to serve Him.